Hi, and well, we are back again with another episode of Human Compass, Navigating Life with the Human Compass. I'm Santosh Sirur, and I have a wonderful guest joining me from Allahabad today. She's Mridula Sankhyayan. She's basically Bangalore-based, and she's the founder and leadership coach, WICCI Consultants. She's also the president, India and UAE Women's India Chamber of Commerce and Industry, which is basically a India and UAE business collaboration. And it's a council, and as we in short put it as Wiki, and we'll talk more about that. But first, let's welcome our guest. Hi Mridula, and welcome to Human Compass.
Thank you so much, and it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation with you.
Same here, Mridula. You know, the first question I have for you typically is actually, since you're a leadership coach, right? The first question that comes in my mind, and I'm sure this is oft repeated when you meet your clients as well. You know, everyone in their corporate life, or even as, students or as young professionals, independent professionals, probably have a kind of a perception that each one of us form in our minds, right? It probably is all to do with, something happened in our life earlier, and there tends to be a lot of negativity, self-doubt. Is this very common, or is it that something that is very unique? What have been your experiences talking to your clients, talking to a lot of people as a part of your profession?
Yeah, I think it is a common phenomena is what I will start to say it with. And a lot of times what happens is we go through life. Life has its ups and downs. And you are right, it's very important, the kind of messaging that we get in childhood.
Yeah.
But most of my clients, and a lot of them are in large multinational corporates, at mid-level, at senior level, even at CXO level. And when I'm having conversations with them, initially it all starts with a lot of confidence and a lot of panache. Obviously, they have been very successful, very sure of themselves. But as we peel the layer of the onion, slowly and gradually, I start to focus on what might be holding them back, because a lot of them come to me saying that, how do I grow to the next level? How do I overcome this particular challenge that I'm facing? How do I build great presence in front of leaders? How do I speak up in meetings with impact, communicating with impact? So all of those areas which make you a leader.
Okay.
So but being a leader coach, that's a theme that always comes up. Yeah.
Okay. So, the question I particularly ask is, everybody aspires to be big shots in their careers, right? Their career journeys could be, but it is these small points probably in their life that hit them hard somewhere. Maybe subconsciously they think about. Have you come across such people which probably these points impede their professional growth? Even if they are big shots, right? They're really directors, senior VPs, whatever those, professional tags could be. But have you come across these kind of cases, and what's been your experience talking to them?
Yeah. In fact, it reminds me of a particular client, a very successful woman, an American lady, and a globetrotter. And then she joined a new organization. And she worked there for 2 years, and then her team changed. Okay. And then at that time was a dip in her life, and that's when she came to me. The first conversation itself, I could tell that there are some issues. And as we dug deeper, what I realized was that I said, let's do some work with meditative inner child work that I do. She says, no, I don't want to do that. So then I said, it's okay. Then she said, okay, fine, let's go. But it's a very painful experience. So I told her, no, don't worry. I'll make it a happy experience for you. And we went through the whole journey of strengthening the inner child. And what I realized in that process was, in her childhood, she was constantly being compared with her older sibling.
Okay.
And that sibling was very much like, do everything that parents ask you to do, very obedient, great in school, great grades, just a model child. And this lady was more of a tomboy, more creative, more not so much into books and grades, but very creative as a professional and out-of-box thinker. Imagine that's something that we should be celebrating, but as parents, sometimes we oversee it.
Yeah, agree.
Right.
Agree.
And when we oversee it, we compare the children, and then from there, her insecurities came up saying, I am not good enough. And I think that piece about I am not good enough is something that keeps coming up again and again and again.
Okay.
And that constant comparison left a scar. She forgot about it. She didn't deal with it. Till it starts to show in every aspect of your life. And in this case, her professional life, where she felt her colleagues are not, warming up to her. Her team is not respecting her. Her manager is not supporting her. So all of those kind of things started to come up till I pointed it out to her and I said, why are you being the victim all the time? And when I used the word victim, that's when she woke up and said, like, no, I'm not being. And then she says, oh, wait a minute. I don't want to be a victim.
Yeah.
And I'm not that person. And that was the aha moment where the penny dropped for her. And from that moment, the shift started in her life, where then I helped her to strengthen her inner child, her self-belief, self-appreciation. Most of us go through life without even giving ourselves a pat on the back.
Yeah.
But we are quick to point out our things that we are not great at.
Absolutely. You brought a very good point, Mridula, where you say that this was something probably in her, in her mind subconsciously all through, and it came out in probably a way, it came in a profession, and that too where she had probably reached heights of her career. So to what extent are these cultural influences, and also I would like to also add this word conditioning since, childhood, make a difference? Because end of the day, by the time you are mature and you're in a professional career journey, it's when these kind of things start hitting you, just like it happened in case of this lady, where you kind of take one step back and really rethink. So how can one actually connect or improvise, maybe is the right word, with all these kind of baggage one must be carrying all through the life?
Yeah, and there are two proverbs, and they are very telling to me. In our part of the world, maybe we can say eastern part of the world, there is a very common phrase that says, a nail that sticks out gets hammered. Okay. On the western coast of the world, we have the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Okay. Now, what does that mean? That if you want something from Western perspective, you call it out, you ask for it, you shout if you have to, you be loud. And it's okay to be loud. But in the eastern part of the culture, especially for women and also men, be demure, be polite, don't raise your voice, right? Don't argue.
Even during appraisals, right? Just listen, boss ki baat suno. Very rarely people actually challenge one, but it's mostly 80% is the boss who gives a download.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you come to a workplace that's a multinational organization, right? And people from all over the world. And there you are told, well, you are not speaking enough. You must voice your point of view. You must have a point of view. You should push back. And that becomes like a double whammy. Every day you're living a double life. You go back home. And then you are into that different mold of being nice and polite and don't argue, etc. And then you come to work and you need to fight for getting your voice heard in a global conference call, right? So yes, that conditioning definitely matters. But I think the process of that is to know what is getting in my way and looking at your own beliefs, because your belief system is very, very powerful. First of all, it sits subconscious, so you don't really see it every day. But there are thoughts that sometimes may be holding you back. So I do various programs, particularly a belief exercise, where I help participants to reveal them what are some of the thoughts that might be holding them back. Because, thoughts become things. And if you're holding a negative thought, for instance, I can't speak in public, or I get very nervous, or I cannot do sales. Or I'm afraid in front of senior leaders. Now, the minute you are in front of a senior leader, whether you are afraid or not, your subconscious is telling you be afraid, because that's your belief.
Agree.
Right?
Absolutely.
But if you say, well, people are people, and I have my point of view, and I'm very well prepared, and I'm confident about what I'm going to say, it doesn't really matter who's in front of you then.
True. I'm sure it's a slow process. It's a very slow and a gradual process, but at the same time, one needs to kind of embed it and make it more consistent. I think that's the secret to getting out of that kind of mold. My next question, Mridula, for you is, how does one actually inspire oneself? And it's a very challenging thing, I know that, to find those hidden talents, the potential in oneself? Because everyone says, I have that potential, but how does one really identify and come out of it? Because organizations are always there, and then you say out of the box, think karo, ye karo, wo karo, but in our day-to-day rigmarole of life, one may not even have the time to think about it. I'm sure you have come across experiences from people who you have interacted with. What's been the secret sauce here that you will suggest to them?
Yeah. And you're so right. We are so caught up in the rut of life and every day being so busy that we think we are doing a lot of good work, but perhaps not creative enough and innovative enough to tap our full potential. And, I love this question because it is in my purpose statement also of life that I want to tap my fullest potential. I want to help others tap their fullest potential. Yeah. And I think, there is no magic answer to it. There is a process, though, that you start with self-inquiry. Even before self-inquiry, first of all, you take a pause. And I think that is so important because if you are caught in the doing, then you cannot get into the zone of being. Yeah. Being the person that you truly are or being the person that you can be. What's your potentiality, right? What are the possibilities that you are sitting with? Yeah. So first of all, pause and find that moment for yourself ever so often and think back and reflect. And self-inquiry and self-reflection are very, very powerful tools to figure that out. Even Raman Maharshi talked about who am I? And that is really about tapping your full potential, knowing yourself fully. Yeah. Once you do that, and I think then you start to look at opportunities. You look at what your strengths are, you look at what are the areas that you are good at and how you can excel. But also I feel asking yourself another question saying, what is it that I was doing last month or last year? What is it that I'm doing today that I never thought I could do last month or last year? Yeah,
celebrate those small victories.
That will show you whether you're growing or not and really pick up new things. Yeah. And in one of the training sessions, we were talking about peak experiences. What are the experiences that will drive you to your peak? Okay. And these are the experiences which are very challenging in nature. Yeah. These are things that you have never done before. Yeah. Ask yourself, what is it that I've never done before? I find it extremely challenging. The stakes are high. The chances of success and failure are 50-50. Yeah. And people who are very important to me are watching it. Yeah, and then get yourself into that zone. Yeah. Get comfortable being uncomfortable.
So have you come across any take stock moment victories which people have shared with you?
Lots of them actually. And coaching moments are so full of it. And I'll give you an example. A few years back, I was into a company, BPO company, where I had a person who was an average performer. But I knew with the conversations that I had with him that he had a lot of talent, but he was really performing at an average. And I realized when talking to him that he is not finding enough challenge in the job. Okay. It's a mundane job to him. So he comes to work at 9:30, he goes at 6:30, nothing challenging him. At that moment in time, we had a project and we were trying to figure out how, this was a BPO process for GE money. And we were trying to figure out how to get our customer service agents to speak to foreign clients in a way that they are able to create customer delight. Yeah. And we were struggling a lot with the people not able to understand the accents, not able to communicate effectively with them. So I told him that this is your challenge. You figure out a way that all of these people can understand variety of accents. What can we do? And we did a lot of brainstorming and he came up with the idea of we set up a voice lab. Okay. And he went ahead and did all of that and it was so successful and the clients came in, they were so appreciative of it and it was one of its kind, the first of its kind. Right. So it was a great innovation, but it was something that when he was pushed to it, he started to think and explore and figured it out.
Yeah. So when you say voice lab, what exactly would it mean? What was the innovation out here?
So we set up 20 computers in a hall and we uploaded a software on it which had multiple accents. And during induction training, people will go on to it and take listening tests. Okay. And they kept practicing it over a period of time and there were communication tests also. Okay. But we did not have any other way earlier to show them these different accents and be able to see the difference between those. Okay. And the listening actually improved. It's like I believe that you can learn any language within 3 months of time if you are constantly listening to it.
Get it.
When they were exposed to that, program, and then when they listened to the customer, those voices sounded familiar and they were able to grasp that.
Yeah, interesting insights there. So Mridula, Wiki, which is where India and UAE, you guys have come across, women, have come together actually as a chamber of commerce and industry, and it's more of a business council. What's been the role of Wiki and probably the potential where you're bringing in two cultures, India and UAE, different cultures, but I'm sure there are a lot of similarities as well. Maybe you can share a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think Wiki is a great platform, and they have so many chapters all across. It's a voluntary organization, but a tremendous amount of potentiality, I would say. So when I was made invited to be the president for Wiki India UAE Bilateral Business Council, we decided to have 10 members from UAE, a lot of them from Dubai, and then 10 members from India. And the way that we chose these people were successful women who were empowered in their own right, because the whole mandate and agenda of Wiki is to be able to empower women and bring them financial freedom, bring them confidence to do whatever it is that they want to do. So we bought these 20 women who were really, really powerful in their own fields, entrepreneurs, business leaders, heads of marketing, heads of HR functions in large multinational organizations. And when this group came together, you can imagine the talent that was sitting there in the room. And then we started to say, okay, all of us collectively, what do we want to do? How do we want to give back? So we said, okay, what we can do is look at college students, women students from underprivileged universities and help them transition their first jobs. And how to get there and get there successfully. So we created programs on Unleash Your Leadership Potential, and we went to various colleges and we did these trainings for 300 women in one of the colleges, Jagran colleges actually. Then we did for Osmania University, and those programs were very, very successful. In Dubai, we did not have underprivileged colleges, but we did it for Manipal Institute, we did it for London College of West London in Russell Kema, and those programs were hugely successful and very, very appreciated by the students. So much so that participants from the program were called over and over again to do panel discussions and all. So the women in the program also got a lot of opportunity to speak in public forums, to be able to give back. And within the circle itself, the next year we followed with another program called Handling Your Unconscious Bias. So we call that program Hub at Work and Hub at Home, handling unconscious bias at work and handling unconscious bias at home. So we looked at a lot of things that could hold potentially women back from growing their careers, but if they overcame this challenge, they will be successful. And again, success stories, it was received very well. We did it online through WhatsApp 21-day program, highly appreciated program. The women, how they benefited from this cohort, the women in the program itself got opportunities with each other. And personally, one of my friends from UAE who was part of the council, she got me a business opportunity and I went and did some sessions in Dubai. Another lady who changed her career to become a leadership coach and is doing training sessions successfully.
Wonderful.
With another corporate organization, we tied up to do more work for women. So tremendous opportunities like that.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I think it's a fantastic collaborative effort between two countries, and it works so very well because each of them have their own challenges. But I said there's a bit of cultural, commonalities maybe in the way people behave and discuss and talk, right? One more thing I will say is that we are also trying to find out opportunities now with other forums, because Wiki has many forums. So we are looking at other platforms, tying up with those and expanding our own network within the broader Wiki organization in India and UAE to leverage more opportunities for fundraising, for creating products and services that would really, really help and benefit women. Going forward. Wonderful. One last question before I let you go. India is in a different orbit now. There's so much of focus on India. I'm sure you see that happening, feedback coming even from your UAE counterparts. What do you think, if there are one or two challenges that you think, because there's a huge demand for skill sets, and I think India having the demographic dividend, I think that really works well and is in favor of India. But are there any challenges that you foresee? What is it that the country can look forward from a skills development perspective, largely taking your experience in consideration?
Skills development it's a very interesting topic because, and I have done 30 years, so to give you a short answer is a very difficult proposition. But I would say that make learning as practical and as need-based. So if I'm excited about a topic and I want to learn it, believe me, I'll find a way to learn. Yeah. I don't need to go to a classroom to learn. I can find an expert and I can connect with them, or I can YouTube, I can Google, I can go to Edcast and Coursera and Udemy, and there is tons and tons of material which is available. Yeah. Oftentimes what happens is we try to use the philosophy of one shoe fits all. Yeah. And that's where learning fails. We need to get to that level of creating individual journeys. Yeah. And I'm a big believer of journeys. And if we can actually create a hook for the participants saying, why is it that they need to learn something? So for instance, I'm trying to upskill myself on AI and generative AI, and that's not my field at all. But I feel the need is there. And 2 years down the line, 5 years down the line, if I don't know about this, then I would be behind. I would be left behind. So I think a little bit of FOMO. Yeah. If people know that if, I don't learn this particular area, I'll be left behind or I'll miss out on something, they will find a way to learn.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Really nice catching up with you, Mridula.
Likewise, Santosh. Very nice to have this conversation.
Sure. And I'm sure our listeners are looking forward, to get to know a lot more about Wiki and, of course, the kind of coaching that you have imparted so far. And, we look forward. And more so in an age where, AI and technical skills and, there's so much of gadgetry around. It's the human compass, right? The human touch that makes a difference. And it's community like you guys who are really making that difference and reaching out. So it's a lot of responsibilities ahead for you and your teams ahead. Thank you so much, Mridula, for joining on this podcast, The Human Compass, Navigating Life. Thanks once again. Yeah, most welcome. And well, with that, we come to the end of this episode of the podcast, Navigating Life with the Human Compass. From me, Santosh Sirur, and Mridula, thank you so much for being on this podcast. Bye-bye and take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a good day.